everybody. Even though it's obviously not marching band season, we're all focused on large group and winter concerts and jazz festivals and indoor activities and stuff like that. OMEA is going to start a series of once a month short videos relative to marching band with a few different goals to keep people up to date about changes that are coming this fall, and also maybe do a little bit of outreach and information, provide some information to folks about marching band activities and thoughts for the fall, just as they're building their shows and working on improving their programs and making those decisions that happen this time of year. I know I got to see a lot of people at the Professional Development Conference a few weeks ago in Columbus, and everything I'm talking about in this video we covered there, but I know not everybody could be at the conference, so I want to make sure we're all up to speed, and this seemed like a better way to do it than the normal infographics we send, which are also attached to this email, but here's another format that might work better for some folks. First, let me hit some changes that are coming this fall. So the first change coming this fall is that we'll start using Competition Suite for all software support. So for example, last year we only used it to capture adjudicator commentary and deliver that direct to directors. Starting this year, we'll use Competition Suite for registration, for scheduling. Event chairs will do all the event management inside that web-based software as opposed to the management software that we've used in the past. For the members who aren't event chairs, it won't change a lot of things, except the recaps will look different, and the way you schedule may look a little different. Obviously, for our event chairs, it's going to be a pretty big change, just because they'll be using a brand new piece of software they've never used before. And we're going to talk about that a bunch at the summer sessions. But I'm excited about this, and I think it's going to give us a lot better management opportunities and make just the process smoother for all involved. The next thing I want to talk about is a change in how minimum showtime is handled in the first 3 weeks of the season. OMEA still has a 6-minute minimum showtime throughout the entire season, but during the first 3 weeks, that's just weeks 1, 2, and 3, no penalty is going to be enforced for an ensemble that performs below or comes in under that 6-minute time. So let's say an ensemble goes out week 1 or week 2, week 3, and only performs a 5-minute show, or maybe a 5.5 minute show, whatever, less than that 6-minute minimum. There won't be a 3-point deduction. There won't be a rating deduction as there was in the past. Now, the only caveat here is that to qualify for state marching band finals, you've got to put on a full 6-minute or more show. You've got to reach that minimum threshold, and that's throughout the entire season. So for the first 3 weeks, there's no penalty. After that, starting in week 4, the penalty would be enforced as it always has been in the past. The point of this is to kind of meet our members where they're at. Obviously, teaching a show slower has been a thing for a really long time. That's not new. But certainly post-COVID, in OMEA, we've noticed a trend where folks are going out even later than they were pre-COVID. Our participation numbers in OMEA have been really strong. They're only down about 5% post-COVID, which I think is fantastic. But we do notice that people, the last 2 seasons, for the first 3 weeks of the season, are definitely not going out as often or as much as they were before. So to encourage participation early in the season, and again, to meet people where they're at, to avoid that situation where a director feels the need to kind of pad a show that's under time, or maybe put something out on the field that they don't really want to put in front of an audience, but they feel the need to hit that 6-minute mark to avoid a penalty, we're going to suspend that rule for the first 3 weeks of the season. So we hope that encourages folks to go out and get feedback maybe earlier than they typically would, and also for those event chairs that are hosting those first 3 weeks, maybe see a little bit of boost in attendance. Some changes to electronics this year. Directors and ensembles this year now can place speakers wherever they would like. They don't have to be within the grounding zone. So for example, the mixer board can currently be anywhere essentially within the performance area. Now speakers as well. All the front ensemble equipment, that stuff has to still be within the grounding zone, but the speakers themselves can now be outside of that grounding zone, and that's new this year. We're hoping that gives folks a little bit more latitude in terms of sound design and their microphone placement. We also help it alleviate some of the congestion along the front sideline there for percussion adjudicators as they're moving and navigating through that area. Another electronics change, we're going to ask that directors have wireless equipment offline, that is microphones and in any internet routers you might be running, have that equipment offline unless you're coming onto the field or actually on the field. So in warm-up areas, in the lot, all that equipment should be offline to avoid conflicting with the band that's on the field using equipment that might be on the same frequencies, which has been a problem at a few events. And it's a rule that other circuits have had, and I think it's a good thing that we're adding it this year. Something else that's new this year is a $25 registration fee per event. So that's for every local event that you register for, there's a $25 fee. This is going to help to offset the copyright verification process that OMEA has been subsidizing for a while. We've had this rule in place for a long time. Directors submit their copyright authorization information, and we pay an organization to go through and vet that data and verify its authenticity. Obviously, that takes a long time and it costs a fair amount of money. And this $25 registration fee will help to offset that. The other motivation for the cost or the addition of this fee is using Competition Suite last year in its minimal capacity was pretty cheap, but this year we're using it to its full capacity, which is about 4 times as expensive. So we unfortunately have to pass that that cost along to our members. The good news is it's going to be very painless. You won't have to mail in a check. You can pay with a credit card online, or you can use a what's called an electronic check from your boosters or your school. It's very easy to do. So only $25 and pretty painless. Something that no one's excited about, I'm sure, but I don't think it's going to be too big of a headache for anybody. Also new this fall, we'll have updated visual and auxiliary sheets with completely new verbiage, slightly new layout. There'll be some updates to the other 3 caption areas as well. We'll have a video coming out about that later on this spring with some more specifics, but just something for the adjudicators to keep in mind as we're getting closer to the summer sessions. Speaking of which, the summer session dates are here on the screen. They're also attached to the document with this email. Those are open to anybody. They're required for adjudicators, required for event chairs, but anybody can come. It's a free event. Lunch is provided. A great opportunity to learn, whether you're currently an adjudicator or you're not an adjudicator, just want to learn more about the process. A great opportunity for anybody in the organization to show up and spend the day learning about the adjudication process. Also, kind of on that topic, we're doing again the small band summer session again this year, and that is on June 17th. Tim Hoagland from Eastern Brown High School and John Lindig from Ridgewood High School are going to be there, as well as Jason Graham, who's our music caption head for marching band, talking specifically about the music side of what we do in terms of marching band and in the small band setting or small school setting. So we had a great experience, a great turnout last year. There'll be more information coming about that later on. Last thing, I just want to say, check out the director timeline that's on that handout as well. Just lays out the deadlines and when registration begins, all that stuff. It's pretty much the same as last year, but I always want to keep that in mind as we get closer to the start of the season. So that's all I have today. Look for our next video to come out in about a month. Steve Alward, who is our new General Effects caption head, and actually this whole video series was kind of his idea. He's going to be hosting that next video in about a month or so, talking about visual design, how to hire a visual designer, how to look for a new visual designer if you're kind of in that situation. Obviously, March is kind of a planning time for marching band. I'm sure everybody's busy with other activities, but we have to always be looking down the road 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and that video might help some folks out who are in that situation. Good luck with winter performances, large group, all the stuff going on right now, and I'll see you later.